because I couldn't remember who the doctor was who I'd seen. I just weaned myself off of it eventually.
You're like, I know what to do. I've
read.
We know the
on
stepping
the Google
down process. Okay, I'll do it. I got it.
Dr. Google told me that you should wean off your medication.
I mean, I guess it's true. It's like, I guess if you just try to copy as best as you can.
I mean, listen, you doctorless.
What the doctors do. We're just running around here without doctors and medication in our pockets.
Yep. Welcome to That's So Mental. I'm Ilana Cohn-Sullivan.
And I'm Cristina Fernandez. And each week we'll dive deep into the labyrinth that is the human brain.
Now, we have no business giving advice on mental health, but we do have a lot of opinions and experiences with full-blown mental breakdowns.
That's So Mental. So
here we are.
Here we are, Ilana. First one.
Beautiful,
you and me.
Beautiful Ninth Planet audio. Thank you for hosting us. And we're here. It is a mental health podcast hosted by comedians who are not experts and have absolutely no business telling you anything about your mental health.
We are not professionals, but we will be talking to some of them.
Yes. We're going to bring in some great guests who actually have degrees and could be helpful.
Yes, and they will be. And I think we could be helpful too. And funny people, they can be also share their own experiences, which I would like to think, hopefully we are you are us.
This is true. And we do know a lot of very funny comedians who are
crazy. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, we're all a little fucked up, right? Everybody, if you're functioning in this current world, you also are dealing with mental problems.
Of course. What is a mentally sane? What is a mentally okay? We all have a mental thing.
We all have a mental thing.
We're all human.
If you're trying to raise children in this world or have a career or just like live in society, to me, that is...
Well, yeah, I was like referencing somebody that I was like, well, they're not mentally well. And someone's like, who is? And I was like, good point. It's true. We all are dealing with a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah. So we thought it would be fun to talk about
it
with our friends and each other.
Yay.
And Cristina and I met really through our children, which is...
Is that how we met?
I think so. I don't know if I knew you before.
Did I already have kids? Oh, wow. That's weird.
I know.
Yeah, we had a mutual friend, but I guess, we probably did. That's what united us. But then we also happened to be in the same line of work, which was cool. And then we were like, okay, it's not just about our kids.
Right. Yeah. We are in the work of entertainment, which can be so many things.
Is that how you introduce yourself? Hi, I am Ilana. I am in the work of entertainment. Nice to meet you. Will you give me a job and insurance? Thank you.
That whole thing is on my card. That's on my business card, which I use a business card.
You do? I love a business. Oh, I was like, I love a business card. I love a tactile.
Please
item.
hire me. I will do whatever you need.
Right. Call NBC. Tell them you're looking for a job.
That's what like my grandmother used to say.
I know, and I think we'll be there too, Ilana. We'll say weird stuff like that to our kids.
100%.
How do you introduce yourself, Ilana, seriously, when you talk to people? Because I feel like that's just hard to define.
Yeah, it is hard. I more recently have started saying I am a comedian or I work in comedy, I guess is what I say.
It sounds really dignified, actually, to say I work in comedy because it kind of... I don't know, the other versions have gotten a little bit laced with, especially in LA, right? People are like, oh, okay, another one of these. But if you say, I think I did that recently. I think I said I work in theater. Yeah. And someone really looked confused in a good way. They were like, so what does that mean? And I was like, they're like, oh, you're an actor.
I like that, though. It is more dignified.
It does sound very dignified.
Because saying you're an actor to anybody is...
It's just, we know what that is. But you think you know.
I just pounded the mic and it was... Nobody's paying us. But if you'd like to sponsor the show,
please,
we are open for that.
Fill in the blank here with a commercial. No, seriously. How are you? Okay, so you're saying you work in comedy.
I work in comedy. I mean...
Because that encompasses a lot of stuff.
Right. I write, I direct, I act. It's so many things. I feel equal parts lucky and like a failure.
I'm like, no, I don't like it. Okay, but go ahead, share what's in your heart.
It's in that I have so many skill sets, right? Because I haven't really landed fully. But if you talk to very successful actors and actresses, like I remember I ran into Jennifer Coolidge and my husband, Liam Sullivan, also a comedian, also has other jobs and does many things, had just the day before done a reading with her. And I went up to her and I was like, oh, you are the funniest. You have the best career. And I felt like I could go up to her because I was like, oh, my husband just did a reading with you yesterday. And she was like, oh, he was the funniest one there. And I was like,
So cute.
Which, I mean, what a fun message to relay. But I was like, your career has been incredible. And she's like, oh my God, thanks for saying that. I haven't worked since the fall.
This Jennifer Coolidge impersonation.
I gotta
Go further.
I gotta work on this Jennifer Coolidge. I really you know what?
This is the time, honey.
I'll work it out here. It's gonna be 45 minutes of me trying to do.
You gotta do like that. I feel like she's like, her head is like a little spinny. She's always a little.
But she basically was like, I haven't worked in months and I feel like my career's over. And I was like,
You're like, it doesn't stop? That's what that means? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like being an adult. You know, you meet someone like 20 years older and you go, oh my God, you are still laced with insecurity and jealousy and like really wild thoughts in that side of that brain. And that really means we never truly grow up.
Right.
And actors really are always terrified that this is their last moment.
Yeah. But you got to really enjoy it while you
Yeah.
got it.
That's right. That is true.
I feel like if we're still out here, I mean, where am I going to go? Am I going to go back to New Jersey, where I'm originally from? I do.
Shout out.
I do
Yeah,
love it. I
you
love New
could.
Jersey.
You could totally go back to New Jersey, of course.
But
and
what
that
would
is
I do?
also, but you know, I actually, not that I'm imploring you to go to New Jersey, but it's like,
Christina's already bought me a ticket.
okay, it's not the end all be all to let go of things and shift. But you did say something that reminded me of, like sort of being the person who has a lot of skills. You know, it's the, what is it? Like jack of all trades, master of none. I
Yes.
definitely feel that a lot because I feel like I can kind of pick things up quickly and get things under my belt. And then I wonder if that makes me kind of skip over to the next thing. Like for me, it's kind of about like, I got it and now I'm going to move on rather than drill down, which is something I'm specifically working on, is like staying on something at least for a little while until you can call it a finished, good enough thing. And then maybe, okay, let's save that next idea for the next round, but focusing. However, I will say, when I get a little bit down about that, like some people feel like they just came into this world with like the purpose, you know, and it's like, it's all they've ever done, or maybe two things, you know, like Sabrina Jalise, my friend, she's like, I was either going to be a comedian or a tennis pro. And I was like, oh my God, stop bragging. That is so rude. Those are some skills, but that's kind of was it. And I was like, oh, that focus is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I at least go, you know what? I'm warm. Like some people on the other side never live their dream, never get to try the thing they've always wanted to try. Yeah. And so I'm really trying to explore gratitude in like a major way.
Listen, Oprah says that is the answer to everything.
What?
Gratitude.
Yeah, of course. But it takes a long time to actually, I really genuinely for a long time could not actually, you know, it just feels like words for a while. You're going, I know I'm supposed to be grateful and I know that I'm lucky and, you know, and then, but somehow it's like not clicking. But lately, I don't know. I'm just, maybe it is getting older and realizing that it is a limited time. And so you better enjoy it, honey, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah, this can all fall apart.
This could all get worse. And it is not a bad motto, actually, because as dark as it is, maybe the shitty day you had today could tomorrow be the best day of your life.
It does help you find the light when you're like, go to the
dark and then think about that.
Although I learned in therapy that sometimes that can be a really detrimental way to think. Because as a little kid, I would be like, well, I'm not locked in a closet being beaten, so things aren't that bad, you know?
Yeah. Save it for the next episode, honey. No. Whoa, but that is dark. I mean? No, I hear what you're saying.
So it was like I would undercut
what is really legitimately happening to you.
Yeah, and like things maybe weren't so good in moments. And
you don't want to also just take whatever is handed. Well, I think especially as a child. I think we now know how to like navigate the thing of say, hey, it really, things are, because I have to say I get a little bit, I want more, or I have like high standards. And sometimes you do have to look around and go, it's really, really, in the scheme of things, not so bad. Yeah. And I do think at this point it's legitimately not so bad. Yeah. There were moments where probably that was not, as a child, you should have been like,
there were some moments.
Hey,
so we'll get into it.
Not cool, guys. Not cool people in charge. Okay, may I introduce myself now?
Yeah,
I don't have anything, but how do I introduce myself, Ilana?
Yeah, how do you introduce yourself? What's your method of?
I kind of change it week to week, depending on like kind of how I'm vibing. I do think right now I think performer kind of encapsulate it the most. I did say I work in theater, which somehow like made it sound really serious because I do think I've gotten to a point where I actually maybe don't want to talk about it too much, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to always be like, why don't you ask me what I do? You know, like, I can't wait to tell you about my next project. But now I'm like, okay, just keep your head low, do your work. And telling someone that you are like a clown is going to invite a lot of questions. And sometimes you want to do that and it's super fun. And like, you're like, I do comedy, but you know, you hang out with like adults that are parents and your
doctors.
Kids' school. Yeah. And you're just like, this sounds crazy. And it sounds, not even crazy. I wouldn't even put a judgment on it, but just, I want to protect my own work. And I don't know if this will be the way to like invite, like, I don't know if like that'll protect it, you know?
Yeah.
I need to like protect it. So
yeah.
I think sometimes just saying a performer and then I do comedy, I do theater, I act, I translate, and sometimes if I want to be really dignified, I'm like, I'm a translator.
I love that.
That's what I say.
I love that because it's like for like a diplomat or for, do you work for the UN?
Translator. Yeah, if I don't want to talk about acting.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I guess I sometimes do that as like a producer because it's so generic.
Yeah, it confuses people just enough, but they go, oh, cool, she's working, great, moving on.
Right.
It's nice to get to the point, too, I think, because it's in LA and everybody's doing that thing, it's nice to just move on and talk about other deeper, I don't know. Unless it can get deep, obviously, but sometimes you go, I don't want to get stuck here trying to explain to someone.
No.
I don't know, my commercial auditioning process.
Which is just delightful these days.
Crickets, insert.
And with that, why don't we move on to our official diagnosis?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
since this is a podcast about mental health, we are going to be sharing, sometimes in depth, about our own journeys with our own mental health. And maybe that'll help somebody out there to feel more comfortable about what they've experienced as a human in this world or what they're going through. I mean, it's interesting to me right now how many friends of mine are being diagnosed with adult ADHD.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably women.
Mostly women. And I don't think, I don't have an official diagnosis, but everything I read, I mean, Liam sends me videos of like, isn't this funny? This is you. You
really?
know?
Do you see yourself? You go,
100%. So many little things, right?
Because did you just get diagnosed with
I didn't.
Adult ADHD?
I never have. I never have been tested. I think about it sometimes, but the steps to get tested just seems like a lot, which is
part of why you 100% have adult ADHD.
Yeah.
Is it a lot? Is it like a big testing, like hours of testing?
You have to find a place and get tested and keep showing up.
In a busy life, finding another place, let me tell you, it is hard.
Yeah.
One more place I got to go look up and make an appointment at.
Exactly. And as a freelancer, my insurance has basically switched almost every year for the past,
there's no
6
steady
years.
care.
So it's like finding new doctors for myself, for my children.
Who's going to do that?
It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an official diagnosis for myself. Official by me, by my own standards. But I know, you just know, you know. And what's your official diagnosis, Ilana?
I mean, mine is depression.
Me too.
And I've had it. What's interesting is I have dealt with it my entire life.
Yeah.
I have never had medication until the pandemic started.
Right.
And then I took Prozac. I saw someone virtually.
Because of the pandemic? Is that what made you decide?
It wasn't so much a decision as just I was losing my shit.
Oh,
and
you
I was
were.
I have to do something about this. So I started taking it and it kind of worked for a few months. And then this thing happened where I just was
plateaued?
I just was in this weird numb zone where I felt okay, but I didn't feel joy.
And like yourself. And
I felt really off. So I gradually, because I couldn't remember who the doctor was who I'd seen, I just weaned myself off of it eventually.
You're like, I know what to do.
I've read.
We know the
on
stepping
the Google
down process. Okay, I'll do it. I got it.
Dr. Google told me that you should wean off your medication.
I mean, I guess it's true. It's I guess if you just try to copy as best as you can.
I mean, listen, you doctorless.
What the doctors do. We're just running around here without doctors and medication in our pockets.
Yep. So I did that, and then a couple years later, I started feeling bad again. And I tried some other avenues. One we'll get into at some point, which took me on a whole nother journey, which was plant medicine. And a lot of things came of that. So after that, I started seeing a lot of doctors.
A lot.
Too many. Too many doctors. And then I started taking Wellbutrin, and now I'm on...
And you're still on Wellbutrin.
300 milligrams of Wellbutrin, and it's going okay. I feel good. I feel solid. I don't want to be on it forever because I'm a hippie and I hate
but that's the whole thing they say. Like, as soon as you start feeling better on the medication, you want to get off. But that's the thing that got you to be okay. But everybody wants to get off the medication. Yeah. Most people do.
I don't think now in these uncertain times
you can even be thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm staying.
You're staying here.
I'm here to stay.
With your boy. Okay, well, let's see. We have some common threads. Ilana, I also decided to get on Wellbutrin during COVID. But funny enough, mine was almost preventative. I think, okay, so a little bit of my background. My father had clinical depression. He was known as manic depressive back then, which would have now been called bipolar. And I think we've talked about this before, and it really stayed on my mind. You had brought something up about, like, is it environmental or is it in the DNA? Which I was like truly mind shattering for me, because I always was like, obviously it's in my DNA. But I have been thinking recently, and I think this is that gratitude thing. I think having someone like that, and I was a parentified child by both of my parents. Sorry, Mom. But I learned a pattern of like how to express things or not express things more, specifically. And so I think I got into kind of like a depressive environmental like response. I respond in that way too. So I think I've been able to I'm really working on shifting that. But so now looking back, and obviously when I was in high school, the conversation was really different, but I think I can look back and go, no, you definitely had like mild depression when you went to college. You had mild depression, nothing really heavy. So I think it was hard. It's that thing where it's hard to catch, right? And I was driven and still could like kind of overcome. And, you're coming from an immigrant family and forget like a mental health conversation at all. And, but anyway, so now recently, I think it had been on my mind. And then when COVID hit and I was like, things are about to get crazy. And if there was ever a time to seek some help, it would be really right now. And I got on Wellbutrin. Now the question is, I have been digging deep into my mind, how and where and from who I got a prescription for antidepressants. Did I go to a psychiatrist? No, baby. I go to a therapist? I have I think it was a general doctor who I said, I have depression. They were like, okay, here's a prescription.
But what is wild to me is how many years you've been on it with like, who's renewing the prescription?
Mystery. I'm not going to call them out, but someone keeps redoing it. And now, the crazy part, Ilana, is that because I talked to you one day, okay, so I started on the 300, and I said the 300 is not enough.
You said it to yourself in the mirror.
I said it to myself, and then I turned to a professional. Who that is, I have no idea. Some sort of coping mechanism here that I'm blocking out the person. But I said, that's not enough. It's not working. And they were like, absolutely, you're in charge. And so then they upped it to 600 milligrams. Now, since that happened years ago, I have never met someone who was also on 600. I would meet people who would say, I'm doing 150 and I'm on 3, and that's crazy. And then I started going,
Well, and then...
and then I talked to you.
Yep. I went to my doctor, who we share a doctor, but didn't realize. And at the time, I was on 150.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, I still don't feel great. And she's like, why don't we push it to 300? And I was like, all right. Because I had heard Cristina tell me that she was on 600 milligrams. And I was like, yeah, 300, maybe.
Boost.
A little boost. And I said, yeah, my friend's on 600. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, is that? She's like, oh no, like family crisis, you'd maybe take 450, but you should never be on 600 milligrams. And I was like, huh. And I didn't know that.
Mind you, this is the person who is refilling that prescription. And I do believe... I don't know if they were the person who had bumped it up to 6, but they're for sure 100% they're the person continuing it at 6. So basically for the last like 3.5 weeks since you told me that, or a month or whenever, I have been trying to track down this doctor and just simply say, since I'm in charge here, can you just take that down a notch to 450? But I don't even know how we would go from 600.
I mean, you have to have a conversation with
this
woman.
From the moon and back, okay? So like pull me in. Maybe that's why I'm feeling like extreme gratitude at all times. What's going to happen
Christina's tripping
when I drop down to 450? I don't know. I may not show up to the next, I may not show up to the next time we record. But, it is a little bit, the future is unknown in life and in my
At this point, I think you should just show up at her office and be like, what is happening? Am I okay?
Just shake. Well, we actually are supposed to have a phone call finally today. I've been trying to track this person down for like a long time.
I cannot wait.
All I need is to drop this down a little bit. If you have to talk to me about it, that's fine. If you have to, I don't know what needs to happen, but now I am really scared. I'm like, to be on that much, and there's contraindications, and I don't know. I'm getting older. I don't know. Like I am a little.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
I'm scared. I'm going to drop. Like I'm going to have a stroke tomorrow or something. But it does feel like the time is. It's time.
I think you're probably okay. People do like loads of cocaine for decades and they still are okay, right?
Point,
I mean,
these medications are
the
powerful.
80s. That's how the 80s was. Yeah,
this stuff is strong.
It is strong.
And I would be curious to know, like, okay, the medication's working and now I want to bump it down a little bit. Because I know I'm a natural girl too. It was actually hard to get on. It's a hard thought to think about taking something every day for me. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
For me personally, like I know people need to for many reasons, but I don't like the thought of being, and then I think I'm like, so is this forever? Right? I think that's the thing. So am I taking this until I'm like 85 years old? That's a wild thought.
I don't think so. I mean, at some point, your lives shift, right? Where like you're not managing so many different things and schedules and trying to hustle for work and being right. Like at some point, I'm just going to be a long-haired hippie living in the woods. That's my dream. I don't know.
I'm scared I'm going to be a depressed old person.
Oh, I don't see
dark?
that. Yeah, we'll do community theater. It'll be awesome.
Oh God. Okay, yeah, theater will save lives, honey. Maybe that's a time to do the mental check-in because it's got sad. I do worry about. I'm like. You see old people in there, and they're alone.
Yeah,
and touch. I don't know. I can go dark, you guys. I'm going to pull myself back in. I'm doing really great right now. How are you doing? I'm on 600 milligrams of Wellbutrin.
I'm on 600 milligrams of cocaine.
No, let's do it. Okay, we're going to do mental check-ins, which is this a fun way to actually like kind of like truly drop in.
Yeah, where are you right now? Hey. Right now, mentally, I am good. And it's interesting. It's because a bunch of work has come my way, even though it's some creative work, some money work. When I am not working, my value of myself gets very low. And I'm working on not being fully dependent on that because it is
my fingers like going up and down like a yes because I'm thinking of course I'm excited for you to get work, but the part of me that's going, how can you not tie yourself to that definition
because I'm the
of
same
who you
person whether or not I am going and earning a paycheck, but for some reason it is so. I think partially I grew up poor. I was always like, I'm gonna make
it
money
in this world.
And I'm gonna like take care of my mom and I just like had all these dreams of how things were gonna go, and like obviously things go differently and I'm doing fine. We're doing really
great.
well considering in the state of the world and this industry and everything. So but yeah, there's just this attachment that I have to
yeah, we are you. Like, it's like you get a job, you're flying high, you're on the fucking roller coaster going up, and then you lose the job or you don't get the thing, and then you're back down. And it is, but I do think over time you're going, oh my gosh, like this like up and downness needs to, those will always be there, but how to level it out because it isn't who you are.
It isn't who you are.
It isn't who you are.
I saw a trailer for the Superman movie, the Christopher... Not Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Reeves.
Yes.
Oh yeah, is it the documentary, right? I snorted, but it's true. I just saw that.
Oh, it made me tear up.
A trailer alone.
trailer alone.
I got it.
But there's a moment where his wife comes to him and she's like, you are not your body, you know, and she still like fully loves him. And it's like, yes, he is a person inside there. And, you know, you forget individually, like.
What a message. Like, this guy's like, you guys, come on. Like, let's try to enjoy it because it's, you know, you just don't have a long time here.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, that trailer was incredible.
Yes.
I'm like.
Great job. I know. Christina's about to burst into tears.
I mean, a 30-second spot can make me break down. So trailer is, you know, a movie really these days for me.
Basically.
No, I mean, it looks really,
for everybody.
It looks really pretty amazing.
It does. But yeah, it's that thing. It was a nice reminder of like, right. My kids don't give a shit if I'm working. They prefer me not to work.
They love you. They want you. They want you. They
Right.
want your presence and your light and all your amazing things. And how do you keep that when you're maybe not always up or something?
And that's a constant bit of work. And for me, meditation is the thing that has helped me probably more than anything. It's the thing I get really resistant to when I'm in a down spot.
But the one thing that will actually help you, which is to me the glitch in our like makeup, which is like how I became really obsessed with this a few months ago. I'm like, how is it that the things that are actually good for you, Ilana, kidding, she hit the table and I'm messing with her. How are the things that are really good for you the things you resist the most? And I was just like, that just feels like a bad design.
Yeah, it is.
Because you do it and then it's like, oh my God, this thing I've been like dragging my feet about is exactly this. But maybe you have to do, it's like this fear, this like comfort. We're just like designed to like seek comfort. And that someone did explain to me, they said that's because most of the time that stuff is long-term and we want
pleasure
immediate
seeking,
gratification.
immediate,
like,
yes.
I'm
totally.
like, exactly. So why do we have that? Why aren't we trained to know why can't we reverse that?
Because we are walking contradictions. That's our
we're
whole
mice,
existence.
Ilana. We're mice.
We are mice in a maze.
I thought that you were going to say, you're like, we're walking contradiction. Like that is such a nice way to put what we are. Anyway, so mental. Okay, so you're doing pretty good because you have work.
I'm doing well because I
you're
work.
meditating.
And I'm meditating every day.
You've been doing really good.
Yeah, I'm on a good streak.
I was going to tell you, friendship, it works. And peer pressure or whatever, accountability, you told me. And then for about a week, I was meditating. And I'd like to brag about that right now.
That's good. You know, I have a friend. She's one of my best friends. And she was like, okay, this week, I am forcing myself. We're both going to do this. We're going to wake up at 5:30 and meditate every single day and text each other. And I was like, great. And she did it for one day. And then was like, she's like, I realized that I don't like that kind of restrictive has to be this certain time. But for me, it really worked.
It really worked.
So I was texting her at 5:30 in the morning, which
and she's
probably
like
so annoying.
so annoyed by the thing that she set up.
Right. It was her bad. But
she learned about herself too, you know, and it worked for you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She likes a less rigid thing. And I think in my world that I'm functioning in right now,
you need a little structure.
I need a super rigid, like,
this is it, black and white. We're waking up, but there's no gray about that. Yeah. Sometimes that's in freedom. There's
Yes.
In boundary, there's freedom.
Nailed, take two.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I used to teach yoga, that's what we used to say. And it is very true, actually. Like something about that, like constraint can make you like, it just takes your psychology out of it. Like just do it.
Yeah.
Nike.
The structure.
Next sponsor. Okay, mental strain. Where are you at? Let me think about that. Where am I at right now? Well, I'm feeling really good. I'm working on a show. And
It's very funny.
And thank you.
If you have a chance to see it.
Thank you. And it's super fun. And that alone is awesome. But what's super cool, and I think is like a long-lasting, deep thing, is that I feel like I've overcome some fears around through this process of putting up my own show and producing it and really like making all these parts come together. I feel like I had to really challenge myself to get over a hump that has become even larger than just about this show. You know, like I think I told you, you know, it's like I wanted to find a director, and that came with all this vulnerability and money, right? Money style, like I don't have money for that, and and I don't want to really share the thing, and because I'm a little bit like I don't know what people will think, and got over the hump, and it was like, oh my God, things just actually got easier. And like, look what happens when you invest in yourself. And I put it out there, and you're going, oh my God, I'm so nervous about like promoting and this thing. And then it's like, oh my God, people were like having a good time and laughing and reflecting back to you, your best self and, the thing you're feeling. And then that becomes, I feel like I'm starting to try to enter like a positive loop. And I finally have like accessed it rather than a negative loop, and to see like, oh, this is what happens when you put yourself out there and you take risks. And so I do feel like the leftover from this is a larger like human lesson. So I'm feeling like just really pretty damn good these days.
I love this for you. I love this version of you.
I know, I do too.
It's really good. Maybe don't change the 600 milligrams.
Maybe don't. And now I'm curious. I'm like, okay, what if I drop that down and then just keep doing these practices?
Yeah, because you're in a really good place. It's probably the time to do it.
Exactly. Like I have a good setup for like now that sort of environmental thing that I feel like I'm trying to build, and finding those things that are, just feel good. My version of meditation has been dancing, and so a little bit less structured, I think, for me, but although trying to go on a regular schedule. And anyway, so I think generally just trying to, just like live here and go like, I actually, it's really pretty not that bad. Like, I think especially when you look around and you go, I mean, I swear I was going to be the parent was like, when you're in it, it's all about like, it's all relative. So of course, if your kid's having like a hard time and that's what it is to them and they don't know about someone else's experience, I'm always going to accept where they're at. And then recently they are falling apart over all these things that now I've started to turn into the mom. I'm like, sorry, but it's like, have a little perspective. There are wars all over the world, and like, sorry, but like, in a way, I was like, get a grip.
Yeah.
No offense. Like, this is the height of privilege, you guys. Like, there are children crossing borders with bombs going off in the background. Like, do not talk to me about how you didn't get another Lego set.
Right.
Like, you've got to have some perspective. I actually can't condone this.
Yeah. There's part of me that was like, I will never be that parent who does that. And of course you do it. Of course you do. I mean, when your child's refusing to eat a dinner and you're like, I just spent an hour making you food that has
There are people that would dig this out of a
vegetables.
trash.
Oh, yeah.
Full trash.
There's children that have to like literally eat mud cakes because it has minerals in it. And
I told Lucia the other day, I was like, there are places that have no water. No water. Like that thing you just turn on and think it's magic. And we corrected for some things that for sure should have gone away. And now I think we're a little bit like, I do think we need some perspective that
because
we shouldn't complain
them.
so much. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want these entitled kids who think they
don't
can
want
just
douchebags.
deserve everything.
I don't want douchebags.
Yeah, there's a medium in there somewhere. Somewhere.
Yeah.
Working on it. Will they be in therapy, our children?
Of course. We will never be able to anticipate everything they're going to just throw our way. And I'm trying to be ready and be that person, but they're going to blame us for a lot of things, Ilana. They just are.
Yeah. I mean, I have an interesting thing with my dad who had disowned me for a decade and then came back.
He's back.
He's back.
Just when you started to let him go.
I know. Finally grieved that. I was like, okay, it's gone. I don't need to live with this ghost anymore.
It couldn't be that easy.
No. He's back. He's back and he wants to be a part of our lives. And my daughter's old enough to be like, no.
And I think they can feel that. I think these figures can kind of feel that. Like, oh, she's actually free from my grip. Let me dig them claws a little harder.
Yeah. He gets like nasty about her kind of, like, I mean, he's only met them a couple of times.
Whoa.
But my son is like, I love grandpa, and I'm like, that's cool. Okay.
And the girl's like, I see you.
Yeah, totally. And of course he's like, throwing digs like, oh, she's so spoiled, and I'm like,
you're like, let me deal with that.
No, she just doesn't trust you because she's 11 and she's meeting you for the second time.
Does she know, like, are you careful about how you talk about him to her? I always struggle with that, about how to present what I know for sure to be true and complicated things, but then how that might affect relationships and I don't know, larger, just curious.
He was completely not in our life for so long.
So she knows that. I mean, that's very obvious.
She knows that. And, she'd be like, why? And I'm like, well, it's not my choice,
Yeah, like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Right. I've tried to reach out and he doesn't want to, and that's his choice.
Or to go like, he loves you very much, honey. He's just busy. It's like, he's off to war, like.
He lives very, very far away. Yeah. Then why did we drive to his house?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to come clean in some way.
Yeah, I also live with just, if she is going to be anything aside from a performer, it's going to be a high power attorney who is amazing at deposition. I mean, she's a laser beam. And she a few times has just come at me and, you're not prepared for the 10-year-old to suddenly be drilling you about your life and your parents and
whoa.
And I haven't given her all of the information.
It's complicated, honey. And then you just try to buy a lot of time. You take long pauses as you try to just come up with something that is both honest and a little diplomatic. Because if they do have a relationship, then it's hard. I don't know. I struggle with this with my complicated relationship with my mom. But I become aware of how my kids perceive that and what I want them to take away, because it's like I think they'll see some things on their own, but also like she's generally her heart is in the right place, and she's a very loving person, and she is here, and so then I go, you don't want another person talking like that to your mom. You're already being such an asshole to your mother. You don't want your kids to, get a little.
Yeah, they can have their own experience with her, and it'll be great. And that's a little bit how I feel about my dad. Although I don't trust him enough to ever leave my children alone with him, And that's a thing too.
Like he would just what? He just like,
I also don't trust him enough to even come to my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Meaning
like I'll meet you at a neutral spot at a park.
Because he's like volatile. He might, what he might say or do, or just, he's just.
All of the things. Yeah. He might just suddenly live with me.
You got to keep like a little bit of a boundary.
He literally didn't talk to me for almost 10 years. And he finally forgave me. This, I'm doing air quotes. And then 3 weeks later, he sent an email asking if I would financially support him. And I was like,
okay. Yeah, you're like, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of like, suddenly he won't leave my couch,
if you don't have like a hard line. Yeah, totally. You got to like protect yourself too.
Yeah. Daddy issues. Oh my God.
That's the next podcast. There probably is. I think there is a daddy issues, isn't there?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm like sure. 3.
Yep.
Well,
fun. So this podcast won't just be us dishing about our
complaining about our people,
our personal upbringing and stories and mental health. We plan on bringing in
other people,
some amazing people who will also, tell personal stories about their mental health and give us their diagnosis, but experts, comedians talking about what makes them tick.
Other artists talking about the creative process and and all the challenges and what that sort of does to your brain and how your brain affects your creativity and some really fun people we're going to have on.
I mean, it is very interesting that so many comedians are depressed. Right?
I know. So which one has anxiety? Which career is like, which of the arts has anxiety? Who's those people?
Airline pilots?
Painters? Yes, of course, airline pilots.
Painters? I don't know.
Is there a career in the arts though that has, because funny people specifically, like not just like, okay, I'm a performer, but funny performers have it's pretty tied.
It's pretty linked, yeah.
So I'm like anxiety.
But I do feel like it has changed a bit.
Dramatic actors have anxiety.
Maybe. Let's start. We're going to reach out.
Let's find a Broadway actress from the 20s. Sorry, what were you going to say? What were you saying?
Who knows? Who knows what I'm saying? It's all lost. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good question for someone who might actually, have an answer.
I mean, writers are anxious.
Yeah, that's true. They have, more
neurotic.
A lot of alone time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part of writing that I have a really hard time with. I love a writer's room. I feel like the energy exchange is really good. I like to write a joke. But
people.
When I'm alone, I do start to.
Well, I think that helps me with my depression is like, that's why I'm like, I need to be around people, or like, that's why I need to get dressed up in the morning, because then you go like, okay, well now we're pretending to be
in the
functioning human, and now I have to do it.
Yeah, just fake it.
But yeah, I know the funny thing and depression is really fascinating. Yeah. I wonder if we can get like a good.
Well, we have a doctor coming on to the pod.
Doctors.
So maybe she'll have answers for us.
Big deal. So we're going to be talking to all sorts of fun people about this, our mental health journeys and theirs. Well, we've come to the part of the show. Wow, we've just got it. We've got that internal. Do you feel like you have an internal clock?
Oh, 100%.
I got a good 3-minute. I got a good 5-minute.
I think that's stand-up.
Good
100% that's stand-up. I've seen people do stand-up who don't do stand-up and
seen
them run
a
train. Just
forget
a
it.
20-minute
Shakespeare play on stage.
Oofy toofy.
When we asked for 7.
Yeah. We were just waving it light.
But then I think I can adjust. Like I can take that and go, that was about 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We're just saying how good we are on time.
We're so great with time.
We're just so good. I mean, if I could just put it to use, then it'd be amazing.
Somehow I can't ever show up on time though. It doesn't translate.
I've really given over to that a little bit more. I used to be like insanely early. My mom used to get really nervous back in the day when you could bring liquids onto a plane. Okay, you can even tap into that. But my mom used to bring her little Bloody Mary kit, like of her own making, like the little vodka bottle that you could get at those liquor stores, a little like Mr. T's, like tomato, some sort of little mixer.
Yeah.
And she'd sit at the airport like 5.5 hours early going, ooh, ooh, just like sweating and like fanning herself. And so then that transferred to me. And I was like, your work, some people's work will have to be about being on time. That's their work to do. But my work is actually about being a little late. Yeah, and just like knowing the world is not going to fall apart.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh, when you could bring a liquid on a plane. What a time.
Those days come back. I really think we should take a vote on it. Because I think it's time.
This is how old I am.
It's time.
This is how old I am. I once flew like a Nalgene bottle with a kombucha mushroom in it from New Jersey to Los Angeles. So like a big, weird liquid, growing, living mushroom.
I was trying to understand like the mushroom part. Oh, wow. Like a plant. You just brought like a hydroponic plant.
Right.
The first time I went to New York City, this is a fun game. This is how old I am. The first time I went to New York City, I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 19 years old. And one of my friends, Megan, brought a Carlo Rossi jug in her backpack and served it all around at Spirit Airlines in the flight.
Spirit was alive?
Spirit was alive. Wow. It probably was their first year. And they haven't changed.
We have to have no rules if we're going to make it in this industry.
And they're like, and let's keep that model going. We have zero
Maybe you could still bring
you probably could still bring a Carlo Rossi bottle in there for sure. But anyway, she brought like the most giant, and everything was great.
Amazing.
Now that we've endorsed Carlo Rossi and mushroom
and Spirit Airlines.
Okay, what are like real endorsements?
Some real life endorsements.
These are things we're like sort of like entertaining, working with, excited about.
Things that make us tick. Really, I feel like I'm stealing this from my friend Oren, who has a podcast, which is fantastic, called Just Shoot It. Should that be my first endorsement?
Oh, yeah. I feel like you're here. You have arrived.
I'm already here.
Just recognize.
I'm going to endorse
I'm writing it down.
Oren Kaplan and Matt Enlow's podcast, Just Shoot It.
Cool.
For creative people. It is a great listen. He and I lived together when we were in our mid-20s. And we lived together for like almost 4 years with another friend, Samuel Child. And we lived right below the standard. It was the substandard.
Okay.
And we just used to make a bunch of weird stuff. And he's really translated it into a very successful directing career.
Oh, cool.
Which is great. And he does so much stuff on its own. He's so talented. It's really...
And the podcast is it just basically like how to make work quickly?
Kind of. I mean,
like just do it?
He and his partner talk about it. They interview other directors and talk about their careers and how they got started and all of that sort of thing. So it's really entertaining, but also informational.
Yeah.
You know,
like how they're working and what they're working with. And that's neat.
How to make it work, how to make a career happen.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, on a podcast. It's Podcast Central here today. I have a podcast that I am just like swearing by, and I really feel like it's time to subscribe because I really am a huge fan. It's called Sleep Magic, and it's a hypnosis podcast for going to sleep, and it is so just wonderful. The woman's name is Jessica Porter. I got to look up her last name, but she's incredible, and she just walks you through this gentle guided meditation, and she's just so good. And I never even hear it because I think even the beginning is the meditation. You don't realize you're already in it. And it's really, really nice. And it makes my husband, who does have extreme ADHD, really nervous, that's how you know I feel like someone has ADHD. The opposite things relax them. I listen to the hypnosis. He's like, oh, that gives me anxiety. I'm like, this is so crazy. 99 people would be relaxed by this, and you're the freak who wants to turn on the news to go to sleep.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, but Sleep Magic podcast is wonderful.
I'm going to try it out.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
That was a good endorsement. Sleep Magic. I'm going to say Melissa Shady's dance class. It is the thing I've done for years and years. There used to be a studio called The Sweat Spot, Ryan Heffington's dance studio, RIP.
Now he's got a resident,
He's got
a
an
beautiful
artist-
space out in
Joshua Tree. Yeah, he's got an artist residency.
So cool. Very known choreographer. He did a lot of like Sia's music videos.
He's
done
phenomenal.
Tons of stuff.
Yeah, he is so great. And he used to do all our weird, crappy videos. And it was
Just like a cool
he's so cool. And it was always a dream because he's just so insanely talented. It's so fun
and
to watch him.
joyful
Yes.
and like,
Artist.
Yeah.
Just the best. And Melissa is too. And she is a phenomenal choreographer. And I've taken her classes for years. And I was never a dancer. I was not a person. I grew up playing like soccer and like hard sports, you know?
Yeah.
And
hard. What's a hard sport?
hard sport, softball. Softball. But
Ironic. Softball is hard.
Hard.
The
ball is not even soft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that
Misnomer.
next time.
But yeah, Melissa's class and Ryan's class kind of like trained me how to learn how to do choreography. And now I will call myself a dancer. I'm not the best dancer. I mean, there are some professional dancers in this class.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also really fun to watch.
Yeah.
it's
You can just
like
get into the
magic
spirit
unicorns.
and like, of course, and not do some like, I'm having fun, they're having fun, we're all like doing this beautiful little thing.
I mean, I equal parts love to dance and do the dance. And then when it's group two's turn, I get to watch. And I'm like, oh God, these dancers. These dancers.
Talented people out there.
But I love it. Dancing has like made a huge impact on my life as an adult, grown-ass woman.
Alana, that's going to be also my number 2 is dancing. Have you heard of it? I have been Zumbaing hard these days. I've done it before. I'll do it again. But I did grow up dancing. I only realized recently how grateful I am that my Cuban grandparents took me every weekend to the Cuban Club in Orlando, Florida, and everybody was taken out to dance, right? You dance with like your grandpa, and you dance with like guys, and you dance in groups, and you danced in circles and quinces, and I was like, oh, I literally learned like a lot of legitimate dances that people are now trying to learn, like in salsa and merengue and the waltz. And I think I'm tapping back into, I think that's why it's been extra meaningful, is that I'm tapping back into that joyful thing, and to have an art that is not something I'm trying to make money at is actually really important. I think that's something as an artist, because you are trying to do one, but maybe there's something that is just so pure and just for the love of it and can keep you sane, and dance is quiet too, right? Like I don't have to be on or talking, and I could just go into my body, and then it does of course help my other stuff. And I just feel
there's something very meditative about learning choreography.
It's good for your brain too. It just feels really like full body, and I do feel like I've gotten again over that hump of having to be on a schedule or work out. I'm finally like, oh my God, I get to go. Like, I'm so excited, and it feels really good. So
everybody dance.
Hey, you guys, do the dance.
Do the dance.
Whatever dance.
Well, that led me, my third endorsement was going to be magnesium. But
I like our revealing. But wait, is it really?
It was. But you know what?
Strike that. Strike magnesium. You already know about it.
You inspired me talking about your Cuban dance. Yeah. And that whole experience. We went for the first time, and I heard through a friend that you have gone to Gary Baldini. Silence.
Who's Gary Baldini? I love him. He's hot. Who's Gary Baldini?
No.
Wait, who?
Am I saying it wrong?
Gary Dance?
No. It's this Italian.
Oh my God, wait. Okay, I realized what just happened. I made him a person. I personalized him like a god, like Jesus. Gary Baldini. So it's a place. Garibaldi.
Garibaldi.
So it's all one.
Yeah.
I was going Gary Baldini.
Gary
School
and
of...
Mr. Baldini. So do you know what I'm talking about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay.
So,
yeah.
Our first time was Sunday.
Oh, you went? Yeah.
Yes. And it was so magical. My friend Leslie Stevens, very wonderful singer, musician. You should Spotify her music right now. Just an added endorsement.
Sub-endorsement.
Sub-endorsement. She had been before. Our daughters are best friends. And she was telling me about it. I was like, oh, this sounds like New Jersey.
Yeah, it's like a monthly hall. Oh my God. And you're so right.
It is a dance hall.
It's a dance hall.
So,
oh my God.
And
yeah,
I know
go
it's
ahead.
it's different all the time as far as like what the vibe is.
Themey.
And we went and it was like incredible Italian food, big banquet hall that is like.
And it's like not like posh.
No.
I mean that as a compliment. It's
in a
like
good
refreshing.
way.
Like it's not polished.
Picnic
it's not
table,
like
tablecloths and just like, paper plates. And
it is
really
the way you
good
grew
food.
up. If you grew up in a community of like a family and like maybe a immigrant community, I don't know. It has like this like vibe that is just so sweet.
Literally walked into the banquet hall and teared up. I was like, oh,
this is like my family.
Feels like New Jersey.
Yep.
Like it just.
That was like the Cuban Club. That is it. You're right. It was exactly that. I was like, I did this every weekend in my own version, and I think we are just so starved in LA for community and family.
It was like a wedding where you don't have any family obligation. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just dance and eat and have fun. There was a chocolate fountain. I mean, it was so wonderful. My kids had such
It does have like a
time.
1980s like wedding vibe, like after church. I don't know, after your like service or ceremony. Like it just is like this like just a normal hall.
It was awesome. I cannot wait to go back.
It's
it was
really
so great.
fun. Oh, yeah. Oh, you heard I went, huh?
Yeah.
Not Mr. Baldini's house, but Garibaldini.
Garibaldini told me that Cristina Fernandez has been
that place
to this
is
place.
so fun. Super
That was
fun.
my Transylvanian accent, if you were wondering what that was.
Garibaldini. Okay, my final one. I feel like I've known about this, and I feel like obviously probably people have heard about it, but I was explaining this the other day, I had never employed it as a tool, which is this, so before my show, I have pretty bad, that is when I get crazy anxiety, but it almost like mixes with my depression, which is like, it kind of like pulls me in. I start getting kind of, my nerves start almost kind of making me tired and making me want to like, go to bed. I can't explain it. I would actually be curious to talk to someone. Like the nerves really start getting to me. And so I try to find anything that'll like, any expert that will like help me get out of the anxiety nerves and get some perspective. And so I was listening
Energy
to
drinks, cocaine.
And so how did I end up at, I mean, it's the Huberman Labs, obviously, but it was through some other way, but it was one of his exercises. And it talks about how when you are having anxiety, right, and this, I'm going to butcher all of it, but you're going to get it hopefully. But okay, so your anxiety kind of makes you very single focused, right? Like your peripheral vision goes away and it's very like for the hunt, for the kill, right? It's like a very fight or flight kind of thing. And so that adds the adrenaline and the cortisol and all this stuff. And the way to combat that, and I've done it in yoga, but I'd never sort of like removed it and done it alone. It's that soft gaze where you relax your eyes and you work on seeing the peripheries. So up and down.
Oh, interesting.
Left and right. So like right now I could see like the sign to the podcast studio. I can see Kevin. I could see like the ceiling and I could see the ground. And I can even see a little bit of myself. And that somehow that expands it's panoramic vision. And he was like, that's why when you look at a horizon, it's a very soothing message. When you're looking at your phone, it's single, right? It does this, it does this thing to you.
This is why it's killing us, the telephone.
So it like puts you in this like fight or flight kind of anxious state. And so when you're looking out, and the coolest thing about it is I was listening to him talk a little more about it. He said when people have near-death experiences, the frame rates go up, which is always the opposite, right? And so things slow down. And so time is clipped. It's why you go like, and then that happened, and slow-mo, right? And you can call every little thing out. Everything kind of separates. But when you're doing this like panoramic envisioning, you're able to, everything speeds up, so therefore everything slows down and you get perspective. So you could see yourself, I'm getting chills, as part of a whole.
Oh, I love this.
And that has like a incredibly like calming method. And hours later, I was like, but right before my show, I was like, I woke up, I could barely even talk, eat, or look at a person. I thought I was going to faint from the nerves. By right before the show, I was like, I am so unbelievably okay right now.
I can't wait to try this. I'm
It
like,
was
when is
really
I have a show
beautiful.
in 2 weeks.
I mean, I'm like going to do it every day just to like open up the vision and like say like, oh, I am part of this. I don't know. It was about like you are able to gain perspective. You're able to see yourself like in the whole of things.
I also that makes so much sense.
I have it done as peripheral vision. I hope it, I don't know. Look
Who
it
knows?
up, Dr. Huberman.
Huberman. Thank you.
Maybe we can have him on.
Yeah. Maybe he can just
We hit
sponsor
it
us.
big. Yeah. What were you going to say? You're going to practice it?
I'm going to practice it. I can't wait to practice. I'm going to practice it
Let's talk about it next time, girl.
daily, and then we'll see how it works out.
Ilana, this has just been a true pleasure to get to know you even more.
Oh, same, Christina. I love this. I love this time.
We're doing it.
Thank you, Kevin, for listening to us just ramble on.
I wanted to make him laugh, but he's focused.
It's very serious.
Next time. It's a goal. It's a goal in the back of my head.
Yeah, I'm going to start writing for that.
This is awesome, though. So I'm excited we're embarking on this.
Yeah, and we'll can't wait to be back with some high quality guests.
Yeah. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, if you like listening to That's So Mental, send us your thoughts or show ideas. Let us know what you want to hear about.
That was so mental. Rate, subscribe, and hit us up with your stories.
That's So Mental.